This is the Ordinary Business Podcast for business owners who want honest conversations, a lean business, and an extraordinary life on their own terms. Okay, today's episode is a little different than our usual because I actually have 4 guests with me. So this is a little bit of a roundtable discussion on coffee chats because I saw some, I don't know if we want to call it discourse, but discussion on Threads a few weeks ago, maybe it's been a month, about coffee chats and how some people are completely anti-coffee chats, love them. And so I brought some friends together and said, let's talk about it. So we have very quickly Olivia, who's a brand and web designer, Sam, who's a sales copywriter, Melissa, who runs a Facebook ads agency, and Michelle, who is a business strategist. And we all have differing opinions on coffee chats. So I'm going to let them kind of share their stances and then we'll get into it. So Michelle, where do you stand when it comes to coffee chat?
I am pro coffee chats. I am all for them. I love them with intention. I'll add that with intention.
Melissa, what about you?
I would say it kind of depended on, like who I'm talking to in the DMs and kind of what's on my schedule for the month, to be honest, because I kind of go back and think of like when I was really busy in my agency in like 2022, 2023 era, and I probably declined a lot of coffee chats. But now that my schedule's a little bit more open, plus, I'm open to networking, I'm open to chatting, I don't mind it as long as, like Michelle was saying, there's intention behind the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Sam, what about you?
I really protect my schedule. So it's not that I'm anti-coffee chat. It's that I'm very judicious about who gets to be on my calendar. When I was a newer business owner, people would ask for a coffee chat and I would just say yes because it was all about networking. And I think I kind of echo what the others said is there has to be like a clear intention behind it because I'm not going to get on a call and let somebody pick my brain or pitch me.
Yeah. And Olivia, what about you?
I guess I'm representing the anti-coffee chat voice here today. I'm pretty anti. It's been a long time since I've taken one. I actually did take one last week and I can note about it that I didn't take notes. I should have already forgot a lot of what we talked about. There was no follow-up, no proposal to be sent, no anything. So, and I also, Sam, I'm very protective of my calendar because I take on a lot.
I'm kind of on the fence. I see the value in them. Like you guys have mentioned, I think there's good that can come out of it. I like networking, but when I look back at all the times I've done coffee chats, I don't know if I see much ROI from them. So I'm kind of I think it's a good thing, but also I like to protect my calendar and I already have enough calls on my calendar. So, okay. So to get us started, Michelle, I'm going to pick on you again. Since you are very pro coffee chats, do you have any great stories or ROI outcomes, whatever you want to call it, from coffee chats?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've been in business now 9 going on 10 years, and I would say 80% of my revenue has come from coffee chats. So I am definitely very pro coffee chat, but I'm also extremely extroverted and I also don't love short form content. So coffee chats for me are an incredible way. I'm going to spend 30 minutes creating a piece of short form content, or I'm going to spend 30 minutes jumping on a call with somebody. And at the end of it, I'm going to know exactly who they are, what they do, how they serve, and who I can refer them to. And so to me, yes, I understand the protection of the calendar, but for me, short form content is just as much of a calendar and time suck for me as it is to just jump on a quick call with somebody. So I am a huge fan of that. And actually 2 weeks ago, I jumped on a coffee chat with somebody that I had met at an event. I was like, hey, would love to chat more with you. Let's jump on a coffee chat kind of thing. And it turned into my highest proposal to date that I have sent off that I believe has about an 80% chance of conversion. She's just dealing with a lot right now with summer kids and some transitional changes in life for her. But I don't doubt that will convert, and that will be a high ticket one-to-one consulting client.
Do you go into the coffee chats wanting to pitch people or only if it comes up organically?
No, I'm very strategic with my coffee chats because I will say I have definitely jumped on. I'm not going to sit here and say that I have not had coffee chats that were an absolute freaking waste of time. I have. And I've also been on the receiving end of somebody jumping on a coffee chat to just literally pitch you their services. So I've been on the receiving end of plenty of shitty coffee chats. But I'm extremely intentional about them. I always let the other person start and I always have them tell me about their business. And in that, people are an open book. They're going to tell you what's happening, what's going on, what they're struggling with, where they're at. Like they are just literally an open book of information. And if you ask them to tell you about your business, they 90% of the time always say, so tell me about you, right? It always returns the favor. And so I direct the conversation in the way I want it to go. And in that, then when I get the conversation back myself, I always explain what I do in relation to what they just told me. So it is very intentional. And I don't go into it looking for a sale, but I go into it with the intention of being of value. And if I can provide value to them and give them some piece of tidbit of advice or make a recommendation or make an introduction to them for somebody, if somebody says, oh, I'm looking to do more podcast interviews. Oh, I was just on this podcast. I'd love to make an introduction. When I can create that point of value for somebody, the conversation naturally flows. And 9 times out of 10, they say to me, I think I might need you, or tell me a little bit more about your services. So I am extremely intentional with them. I don't go in with the intention to sell, but I go in with the intention of learning more and getting a very clear picture of where they're at in their business.
I think it's important to define, just for people listening, like there's a difference between like a coffee chat and an intro call, because I take a lot of intro calls, right? Like if you're interested in working with me, absolutely, I'm going to sit with you for 30 minutes and talk about your problems. But those are when I'm thinking with intention that like they've done my form or I've been connected to them via email. And so it's more of a, hey, we're talking about the service versus like, hi, I just want to learn what you do and learn about all of that. And I don't really have a horror story, but I will say like I'm very introverted and I already have a hard time with names and faces. But I'm also a child of the internet. Like I'm one of those that grew up with AIM. And so I'm so used to chatting and I love a Slack chat. I love popping in and being like, hi, here's a resource. Here's this. Because I'm in like 15 Slack chats. I'm in so many. I know so many people's names that cross each of them. So maybe I've replaced coffee chats with Slack chats, if that's a thing.
Maybe. I've heard some people replacing coffee chats with like Vox or walk-in talks or some kind of name like that. I tried to do a Voxer chat, kind of coffee chat one time, but the person kept taking like 3 days to respond. I was like, this is not working.
I will say I'm not as strategic as Michelle with coffee chats. I honestly let people come to me. So most of the coffee chats are, someone coming into my DMs, right? And they're asking me, hey, I've been following you or I've been seeing you on my feed. I feel like we know a lot of the same people. Would you like to chat? And probably 8 out of, 10 times, they're normally wanting to hear about my services. So I don't know if it's probably a good thing, right? But normally the coffee chats usually sway that way, where they're just kind of inquiring or they just want to get to know a little bit more about me and my business and my services that I can offer. So I feel like that's normally how the coffee chat conversations sway in terms of the ones that I've been having. It's very rare for me to reach out personally if I want to have a coffee chat with someone. And maybe that's kind of like the same thing for me. It's like if I am reaching out to somebody, I usually want to like learn more about their services, right? Or just want to get to know them a little bit more. So that's kind of been my experience so far with coffee chats.
See, mine have never been about wanting to learn about my services. It is 9 times out of 10 a copywriter who wants to collab. And I'm like, I have 15 friends who are copywriters and I love you all. But I literally just told someone, I think last week, sure, I can add you to my list, but I already have like so many contacts that are copywriters because I've been in business so long. I'm happy to get to know who you want to work with. A lot of my coffee chats are people who want to be referral partners. Mine have never been, hey, can I learn about your services? So that's just been my experience.
So I just looked at my calendar and searched coffee chat to see when my last one was, because I don't even have a coffee chat link. If there's ever something that's not an intro call or a services, so I call those calls in my business, I call them kickoff calls. Even if it's not kicking off the project, it just sets the stage that we're talking about what you need in your business. So I don't even have a coffee chat link. If I need one, I'll send them that one and be like, hey, this is going to seem like I'm pitching you. I'm not. I just like needed to get Jess on the phone, and this is how we coordinated, right? My last 2 coffee chats, one was with another copywriter, and we were in the same bundle. And she just seemed so fascinating. And I reached out and I was like, I feel like we should be friends. Do you want to like talk? I think we probably have a lot in common. And since then, we have become friends. We've collabed. She's been great. The other one was last week. And I saw a friend's website and it was brilliant. And so as a copywriter who reaches out to people for collabs, I asked the business owner whose website that I saw that was designed phenomenally. And I said, hey, who is this person? The wording that they use on their website is similar to mine. They do design. I do psychology-backed copy. Should I know her? And she was like, oh my gosh, yes, you guys would get along so well. We got on that call just being like, what events do you go to? It wasn't me looking for referrals. It was truly me just fangirling over their work. And it did turn into a coffee chat that turned into, we are going to work together on a client project. But I didn't go into it with the intention. It was just literally like the same vibe as walking up to somebody at a conference and like, I like your shirt.
Yeah.
And a friendship bloomed from there for both of them. But to be fair, one was last week. The last coffee chat I had before that with the other copywriter was in January.
Yeah. So that's quite a distance between the 2 calls. So you are very protective of your calendar.
I am.
Okay. So to piggyback off of that, why don't you make more time for coffee chats? Is it just because of how far you are in business? Do you like connecting other ways? Because I know you're protective of your calendar, and as many of us have said. So what is it for you?
Yeah. So for me, it comes down to that intention of like, if somebody reaches out and they're like, hey, here's my calendar link, we should have a coffee chat. Like, one, don't propose on the first date. That's weird. I don't like it. What are you trying to sell me? I'll just ask, like, great, what do you want to talk about? Feel free to ask me a couple of questions here. And then if we need a call, we can get on it. I'm happy to chat, like do voice notes. But typically, even just asking a couple of questions will weed out if somebody's just trying to pitch me or if they don't have the energy to like have an introductory conversation on social media, then it becomes clear to me pretty quickly what their intention is.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm not willing to get on a call and chat, because I just told you 2 stories where I totally just got on calls to chat.
Right.
It's that I'm going to protect my time.
What about you, Olivia?
Yeah, a similar answer, I guess, for me, a coffee chat, like what is the purpose, right? So if the purpose is you want to learn more about my services, well, that's not a coffee chat. That's an intro call. Like that's a literal 30-minute intro call. And I have those questions on my website. And so I would ask you those questions. Like that is an actual beginning stages of a client relationship. The other one, the purpose would be to like have network, right? And like I said, I'm very introverted. It's very exhausting for me to do that. And I'm quite frankly, I'm very booked. Like I don't need to network currently. My SEO is thriving, so I'm getting leads that way. So if the intention is just to network, then man, I love a voice note too. I will chat your ear off. I'll voice you on Slack. I'll voice you on Instagram. I have a designer friend right now where we're in similar stages of our business. And instead of coffee chats, sometimes I'll see a little Instagram message pop up and it's just both of us chatting. And I also am on Voxer with my own business coach. And my own coach, I actually asked, can we do less calls and more Voxer? Like, can I opt into 1 call a month and then just let me Voxer the rest of the time? And that works so well for me. I checked, I prepped for this meeting and I have 15 calls this week. It's a mix of intro calls, client calls, past client power hours, because I've been doing this for almost 14 years and I have a huge backlog of clients that come back to me. I just don't have the time. I will Voxer and I will have an intro call, but it's a time and energy thing. I don't have the space for it.
I tried blocking off, I think it was in 2024. I was like, no more coffee chats. I looked at the data from the year prior and was like, nothing came from this. I spent so much time on coffee chats. And then in the State of Online Business survey, referrals was like the top way that people got clients. And I was like, maybe I should network more so I can get my name out there more, referrals. Obviously, I have all the clients too, and I've tried working on that. And that's part of why. But I am like what Melissa said, where I more so kind of wait for people to come to me. I'm curious if y'all have any rules, boundaries around like either the chat itself, the structure, or the availability. I know some people have like a week of coffee chats or something. This episode is sponsored by Virtually Robin, an OBM for founders with ADHD. If you're feeling stuck, tired of floating over the same tasks from week to week on your to-do list, a Stop the Spiral sprint session is for you. You'll spend 90 minutes together solving problems and coming up with systems. She delivers an action plan to you, and then you have Slack access for 2 weeks for accountability. Join the waitlist for first access and mention Ordinary in your reply to the waitlist for an exclusive bonus.
I can speak to that because I've spoken to my schedule before on your podcast, is
Yes.
that I travel extensively. So I don't ever take meetings on Fridays, period, no matter where I am. When I'm in the US, I'm typically based in either California or Iowa. So I only have my schedule open on, and this is for current clients because they do have access to chats with me, or intro calls or whatever, are only typically open Monday and Wednesdays. Sometimes I'll open them on Thursdays if somebody needs. Because Tuesdays are my membership day. That's when I deliver. And I only have it open from 6:30 to 10:30 Pacific time because I'm an early riser and I can do that. That way I just never have to change it for other people.
I'm the same. I don't do calls on Mondays or Fridays.
I don't
And
either.
it's like,
Same.
okay,
Sorry, as we're recording on a Monday.
yeah. I mean, obviously there's exceptions, right? So like today, Monday, of course. Usually it's safe for like team calls or team check-ins, but Fridays in general, I just eventually didn't want to keep taking calls or do any kind of reporting for clients on Fridays because I just felt like, you know, in the beginning of my business, I was trying to fit everything into the week. And then I just felt like I never got a break, you know? So I love having like designated call days. So I believe I take discovery calls Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then Wednesdays, I usually leave for like 2-hour ad intensives. So my schedule is really crazy. I felt like that helped a lot, right? And now that my schedule's a little bit more open, more free, I still have Fridays blocked off, Mondays blocked off. So it's kind of nice to have that like boundary setting and just in general for your calendar. But I love the DMs. I know, Olivia, I think you mentioned voice notes are your thing. Those are my thing too. So if anything, I don't necessarily, you know, seek out the coffee chats, but I am down to chat in the DMs for sure. So that's normally where like those conversations will take place initially. And then if it's like, oh my gosh, we need to take this further off, you know, Instagram and chat a little more deeper into a specific topic or something, then that, you know, normally flows that way. But I feel like usually I could get a feel for someone in the DMs pretty quickly. And if we're vibing, if they're not a voice note person, then that kind of sucks because I really don't want to like sit there and like type everything out. I'm like, can I just say what I need to say in a voice note? Voxer is okay. I will say that I've used to like have the option for sales calls for people to add me to Voxer and we can chat there. And a lot of times I felt like that was an easy close of a sale. But now that I don't really check Voxer a whole lot, I feel like it's one more extra place for me to check. So it's kind of nice not having Voxer anymore tied to clients or tied to any sort of deliverable. So yeah, but I love the boundaries, you know, and making like certain days for specific calls on your schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same thing, and I only really take coffee chats on Tuesdays and Wednesday mornings or something like that. It's very limited. And I definitely don't take as many coffee chats as I once did. Like when I was brand new in business, I ran for a while the 100 Coffee Chats Club. Like I was big time in it. I was like, everybody should be having 100 coffee chats a year. If you're talking to 100 people in a year, there's no way your business is not growing. I don't care what anybody says. Like there's no way you can talk to 100 people and not convert a single client from it. Whether or not that's done in coffee chats or in the DMs. I mean, I love a good DM conversation, but my ADHD gets me. And I'm not going to lie. I am definitely that person that takes 3 days to respond. I did try to do a Voxer chat with somebody in lieu of a coffee chat. I think it was like almost 4 weeks before I responded to her because it was happening in Voxer, which I don't check, right? I was just like, because I have my clients in WhatsApp and on all of these other channels that I'm having these voice conversations with all day long with my clients and in my membership and in my groups. Like I just think it's so much faster and easier to just jump on a quick call with somebody, especially if we're like really wanting to get to know each other and really understand about their business. But I also think too, to the point of like coffee chats, yes or no. I was a hairdresser before this. The gift of gab is my thing, right? We had to talk to every single person. You don't just sit and not talk to the person in your chair. So I don't know any other way. That's just innately in me. That's just what it is. So I would do this anywhere I go. I mean, any room I walk into, I'm like, oh my God, tell me more about you, right? I just genuinely am so curious about everybody's business. I think it's fascinating to learn how other people build their businesses. I think it's so interesting to learn about other people's business models and all of that. And so to me, I have just gotten so much inspiration from them, but I do keep boundaries around it. And then to your other point about the boundaries, sometimes I will do like a 4-on-4 coffee chat. So instead of one person in an hour, we're meeting 4 people in an hour. So it would be literally like this, like, let's jump on a call for an hour. Everybody tell each other what they do. And now you've walked away, you've met 5 new people or 4 new people plus yourself. And there's a lot of power in that. And I've been able to exponentially scale my time with that and meet just as many people without it being a bunch of individual calls.
I like that. The 4-on-4. That seems efficient. I like that. I also want to say, I liked your reframe early on when you said I can either spend 30 minutes creating content or 30 minutes talking to somebody, because I think for a lot of people, they probably do spend 30 to 60 minutes creating a reel or whatever. I hear people talking about how much time it takes them to edit reels. And so I think if they're better at networking, maybe that's one way they can reallocate some time. I have not thought about it doesn't take me that long to edit. So for me,
Well,
I'm like,
yeah, I think it comes down to like marketing in general, right? Like
Yeah.
every marketing strategy works, and it's just a matter of finding the marketing strategy that works for you. But I also find that I have jumped on so many coffee chats with people that I have followed their content for weeks or months, and I think I have an understanding of what they do. And then we jump on a call, and what they actually do and how they actually serve is completely different than my interpreted version of it. And so that's also why I find that so fascinating to jump on calls, because it's like your content is up to my interpretation. And I also think that sometimes it gets interpreted differently because, again, content is such a small little moment. It can very easily get interpreted in so many different ways.
Absolutely. Okay, my final question. So one of the threads that I saw in all this talk about coffee chats, somebody was like, I refuse to do coffee chats because I'm where I'm at in business. And it had kind of this air of like, I am too good for coffee chats and I am far enough in business and I don't need them. So I'm curious for y'all, just kind of your thoughts on those threads. Meaning, do you think there is a point in business where you will no longer need coffee chats / networking calls, whatever you want to call them? Or do you think we all need to do a coffee chat call kind of thing at all times?
I like what Michelle said a lot about all marketing works. It just depends on which route you're going to take. You do need some sort of marketing. So whether it's I write a ton of blogs or SEO, or like you're making short form content or what have you, or if it is coffee chats and networking, like you need some sort of stream. I did want to mention something you said earlier about like the referrals being what people are saying. When I think referral, I don't think coffee chat. A referral to me is that a past client liked working with me and then they told 5 people about me. So there's no coffee chat needed with that. To me, that's just doing my best at my job and hoping that I provide a good enough experience that they then tell 5 people and then they tell 5 people. So that also I feel like is a marketing stream, is having a really cool support system or a system. Really. But I also love the occasional coffee chats that I do take are people who would need to commiserate with me. Like, I just need to talk to somebody about how hard this thing is. And I love that also. And I don't think I'll ever outgrow that. I'll never outgrow wanting to at least voice chat or talk to somebody or get in a Slack channel or have a coffee chat and just commiserate as business owners. But for business, I think that there's so many different marketing streams that work.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, in terms of like, it depends on how you want to market your business, right? So whether that be coffee chats. So to your point with that person saying that they were too good for coffee chats, well, I'm assuming they're networking in some other form of fashion, right? So maybe at one point you don't have time in your business to hop on like physical 30-minute coffee chats, but you're probably doing other things. Maybe it's guest speaking in other people's programs. For me, there was a time in my business where I was doing a lot of that. Every month, I think I had like 2 or 3. I felt like, there comes a point in time in your business, or a phase, I should say. Because I feel like in business, everything like comes back in waves. You may just be shifting your time and focus in other ways, not necessarily just on coffee chats.
Yeah, and I don't think there is a world that you can outgrow networking. Like, if you're telling people to F off and that they're not worth your time, you're not going to get anywhere. I go to conferences. I get together with business friends when they're in town. I go to retreats. Every month, I host a PowerPoint party with people that I think are cool. And the only rule is that you don't talk about your business. But the secret is that everybody in the room is... and it's virtual. Everybody in the room is in business. So I'm thinking like billionaire business owners, right? You think they're not going to charity dinners and shaking hands and kissing babies? Look at the political atmosphere. The minute your politicians stop going out and thanking people is the minute they stop having favor with their people. So everything is an interaction, and especially in a world where the robots are taking over and we're kind of letting them, you have to find a way to connect with people. So if it's not in coffee chats, it's got to be something else.
Yeah, I am one of these of like, if you're too busy to give me 5, 10, 20 minutes of your time, then I'm not giving you my money. I'm just done with that. And because I've been on the receiving end of that, I have done this whole like, oh no, here's the offer, here's the sales, right? I've been the person that's invested and been extremely disappointed because the person that you're seeing on the front facing side is not the person you get on the back end. And I also want that for my clients, right? I want to vibe check. I'm of the opposite. I'm far enough in my business now to know who I want to work with and who I don't want to work with. And I'm going to be able to tell that in a very quick conversation. We're either going to be a fit or we're not. So I'm actually at the point of like, I'm using them as a weed out tool, right? To make sure that I'm not getting people saying yes to something that I don't want to work with. My program is a 12-month commitment. I don't want you in my program for 12 months if we are not a good fit. So I'm kind of the opposing view of like, no, I want to make sure that we're going to really like each other because we're going to be together for the next 12 months. And that's a commitment. And that, yeah, I will never be too busy to jump on a call and do a vibe check.
Same. Well, thank you all for coming and chatting about coffee chats. I will link to each of these ladies' websites and socials so you can go connect with them and maybe voice note with them, potentially hit them up for a coffee chat. But yes, thank y'all for being here, and I will see y'all in the next episode.